Mike, what happened? You look like the business end of a baboon.
My ear tops burn the worst, too. But they're starting to peel, so soon they won't be as red. Be as red. Be as red.
What?
You know, when I talk, I can hear my skin crunch. Makes me want to eat cereal.
Lord.
Ma'am, are you sure that you want to go out on such a limb for Ambassador Jafar?
Well,
Ben says guitarists are very good at inserting themselves.
you got that right.
Be as red. Be
Ma'am,
as
what I'm...
Matt Walsh is here.
Hi, everyone.
Matt Walsh. Keep clapping.
How you guys?
Keep clapping. Thanks so much for being here.
Always fun to hang with you, sir.
It's always a pleasure to
Yes,
have
sir.
you. It's a
We
pleasure
go
to
way
have
back.
anybody from this show, really.
I know. That's a good poster, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
They do good artwork for our seasons. I'm very happy.
Veep is probably my favorite comedy on television. I just think it's the best comedy. Joke for joke, nothing makes me laugh like Veep.
Thank you. Yeah, the writers put a lot of work into that. I'm just admiring all my castmates. I'm not staring at myself. I'm not that vain. Tony getting a little grab on Julia there.
We're really seeing his true colors come
Yeah.
out and how he feels about Julia.
Yeah. No, the Veep's been well received this year, especially because the terrible news coming out of Washington. People need an escape.
Well, I think you guys have done a great job of not feeling like you had to pivot and focus on anything like that, because you wouldn't be able to keep up with the news right now. Podcasts that I listen to weekly can't even keep up with the news.
It's true.
I put on Pod Save America, and I'm like, oh, this is old
Yeah,
news,
it
guys.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
No, they were fortunate that this season was all about her post-presidency, so we don't have to deal with the White House this year necessarily. So we're fortunate that way.
What's interesting is in a couple weeks, it might be very similar to Donald Trump in terms of post-presidency.
Come on, America. Come on.
I think it's come on GOP, unfortunately.
Yes, come on, Congress. Let's say that. Yeah, I agree.
Get your shit together.
Yeah. Oversight.
Talk to me about Mike this season. He is doing what he can still, trying to get close to Julia, but is he really trying to get that close to Selina, or is he just trying to do his job?
I think Mike loves when he gets affection from Selina, just like all her fellow castmates. But I think Mike fancies himself as a writer. I think in a perfect world he would write John le Carre novels or something like that. So I think the biography or the book the memoir he's writing for Selina is really filling his professional Jones, because he's stuck at home with 3 kids. He does need money. They are broke. But I do think he loves writing, and I think he fancies a career in that world.
Now, she treats all of her employees, I mean, she treats everybody in her life, but her employees specifically like shit.
Well, her daughter, the worst.
Yeah,
she's
daughter.
even worse to her daughter. But yeah, she treats everyone like shit. That's
Why do you
true.
think they all keep coming around? For Mike, is it just about the paycheck right now and the chance to write?
Well, one, there's history. Like, Mike's been with her like 20 years, so there's loyalty there, and there were good times. And those small moments keep you coming back, just like an abusive father or something like that. When he hugs you, it's good for a year. And I also think that's the truth of politics. People want access and power. You see it in the White House. People, they're enduring just to be in the Oval Office. They're enduring a terrible president.
They're destroying their reputation.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
They're staying close to power, and they'll do whatever they can to stay in the game. And that's been true about politics forever. They want access or they want power.
There's something about this season, I know, I think it has to do with exploring the post-presidency or the post-power place that Selina is in, where everybody feels a bit more venomous. Everybody feels a bit more desperate and angry, and parts of their personality that were sort of hidden before are starting to come out.
That's a keen observation. I would agree with that. I think part of it is when Selina doesn't have a job, she's even more nasty. So all that nastiness is flowing downhill from Selina to begin with. But I also think they're all sort of struggling to define their roles. So it is a little more desperate for everyone. And my mom says the show's gotten a little more filthy.
Really?
That's my mom. She's 78. She still watches it, but she's like, you guys are getting a little filthy.
Did she say it's like a little too filthy?
Too filthy. Like, she's been on board, which we've been filthy for 6 seasons. But something must have happened this year. The nastiness or something.
Well, there's an element. It's like, I think it's what you said, how they define themselves. And
yeah.
They used to be able to define themselves by their positions in the Oval Office or their positions around Selina in terms of press secretary,
yes,
campaign manager, and now they don't they have these more sort of tenuous positions.
And I think there was gratification in their tasks. Like Mike got to go, at the podium and talk to the press, and that was rewarding for him. And, Amy could plan things, and they could try to affect change or attend rallies. But now it's like chasing money from shady donors for a library. And Gary, of course, is struggling because I think more people, for Gary, I think like Sam Richardson's character being around or Mike having a bonding moment, I think it threatens him to not have her to himself, which he probably imagined would happen.
What have you thought of the press secretaries of the Trump administration? Have you felt any kinship to Sean Spicer and his desperate calls for help?
The thing about Sean Spicer is 5 minutes into his first day, my Twitter column filled up with people saying, this guy is already worse than Mike McClintock. Like literally 5 minutes into his first day. So all I can say for Sean is I hope you quit.
Well, I think the difference between Sean and Mike McClintock, one of the major differences, is that Mike McClintock is a good-natured person and isn't as combative with the press.
I think ultimately Mike's more professional at the podium. Like we really, in the writer's room or on set, we try to make sure that Mike is it, because Mike is a buffoon. He's an idiot, which I love. The stupider, the better for comedy. But at that podium, we did strain and make efforts to make sure, like, okay, he is good at this job. And so that's the difference between Mike and Sean.
What do you think? A lot has been made recently, I think, because the Trump administration seems so stupid, for lack of a better word. A lot has been made recently from the Veep crowd to be like, see, we are not Republican nor Democrat. Yeah. But it's interesting that the Republicans have come up with being this stupid at this point.
Hopefully, like, if Veep goes on, it'll apply to the next administration. I mean, this administration is exceptionally terrible, obviously. It's a threat to all of us.
We can laugh about it right now.
Yeah.
We should always preface with, it's a threat, but here's a funny joke about it.
Yes. So I think there's great value in the way the show was designed by Armando in the early years is you don't know we're party because I hope the show makes fun of the greater truths about politicians throughout the century. Like, it would apply 100 years ago. Like power attracts certain kinds of people and ego drives policy sometimes rather than common sense. Like things like that are still true. And Selina's a very vain and self-centered person. And guess what? They had those people 100 years ago.
Right. And all of the people who work for her are in many ways vain and self-centered as well. And they're trying to rally around power as much as they can.
Yes, it attracts those kind of people, those sycophantic people or whatever they are. Yeah. It's true.
Do you think Tony Hale's character and Mike are going to sort of get into it? There's a great episode where they're, Tony Hale is getting quite frustrated that Mike's getting close.
Mike and Gary have moments of fun and friendship, so they're at least square with each other, but I don't know what's coming up as far as a big feud. I don't know. I can't answer that question.
What do you think about Jonah in Congress? His last name and the fact that he's sort of sponsored by the private prison industry makes me feel like...
And that his platform is daylight savings time?
Yeah, really makes me feel like he's a farce of Paul Ryan in some way.
That's just good fortune. That was not written that way, obviously. We didn't know season 1 that he was going to win a seat in Congress, obviously. But my favorite part about Jonah, I love that we have this instructional tool. I've never had an interview like this. These two guys, that's Kevin Dunn and Gary Cole, great actors. My favorite part is them because they're very... Kevin's character, Ben, is such a savvy, salty, nitty-gritty advisor, and Kent is a political, analytics genius. And they're stuck with Jonah Ryan, which I just love. There's so much talent, and they're just sitting in the chair, and they can't help like an idiot. I just love that part of this season.
What do they refer to Paul Ryan as? I'm kind of waiting for them to start referring to Jonah as that, which is like a wonk. Oh, he's like a policy wonk. It's like,
yeah.
No, he's not.
No, he's not.
He's not a policy wonk at all.
No. Jonah's an idiot who still lives at home, probably, even though he denies it. And I'm not going to look at this anymore. I want to. Yeah, I feel like we're analyzing a great photo in history or something. But yeah, Jonah is great. I loved Tim's character arc this year. It's so funny, and it's sort of unlikely but very possible that an idiot on an irrelevant issue could garner support from radical people.
It's very possible. I think you're seeing it on a daily basis right now.
Yes. Yes, we have.
Matt, you were one of the founders of Upright Citizens Brigade.
Oh, this again? Are we going to talk about UCB again?
You don't want to talk about it?
No, I'm kidding.
It was
I'm
on
kidding.
the list of
I'm
things
kidding.
that you wanted to talk about.
No, of course. Yes, I started UCB with Matt Besser, Ian Roberts, Amy Poehler. Came out here in New York in '96, and now we have 2 theaters in New York and 2 in LA, and it's I'm very proud of it.
How involved do you stay?
I'm still very involved. We have a big comedy marathon we do every year in June.
Del Close.
The Del Close Marathon is coming out in June. You've been there. Oh, yeah. It's a good time. You get a lanyard, and you can see like 1,000 different shows if you could physically be in one place at one time. But it's a wonderful event, and I highly recommend it if anybody's in New York around June 24th. And I am still involved. I have an office at the one in LA, so I'm always walking around, and we have email stuff, and I'm still very involved. I do shows probably once or twice a month. Ask Cat's still running after 20 years.
Do you do shows because you find it still keeps you fresh?
Yeah,
or
it's like pickup basketball. It's the easiest lazy man's version of I just go, show up a minute before curtain, get on stage, have huge laughs, have a beer, and go home. Like, that's me kicking up my heels now. And then, it's a big night for Grandpa here. I'm not a grandpa, but I have 3 kids, and that's my big night.
When you first started UCB, did you guys have any, were you Machiavellian about it at all? Did you think
No.
that it would become anything
No,
like this?
it's the worst way to start a business. We had no plan other than we had a bunch of people we were teaching, and they were doing shows now. And we found a strip club on 22nd Street that Giuliani shut down, and we're like, let's just have our own clubhouse. And then we just sort of every week just tried to get shows on stage and teach classes, but we never had a long-term goal, and we're getting better about that because we're grown-ups, but we never really had a long-term goal.
I would think you had developed a long-term goal in the last 5 or 6 years.
I think so, yeah. I've learned what that means.
Or theaters.
I've learned what that means. Yeah, you do have to be more responsible as you get larger, I guess. But yeah, we did not have a plan.
Zach Woods from Silicon Valley was here just, I think, a week ago.
Love that guy.
And he was talking to me about how he was doing UCB here when he was a teenager. He was in high school, and he would still come
in from Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how it was a strip club at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was like he admittedly said he was like a cocky little know-it-all, like junior or senior in high school, and who thought he knew it all. And then he like met people he respected, and he's like, oh, this is actually an art form. Because I think everybody, or a lot of people who think they're funny, myself included, when I started comedy, I thought I was so funny. And you're not. You have to like really learn how to work and collaborate with people to get things to be funnier. So
I think that happens, like with every art form. That happens with filmmaking, that happens with comedy, writing. You sort of, a lot of us come from these small towns where nobody gives a shit about the arts. So if you're a person who cares about the arts, you think that you're the best, and you get to New York, you get to college, and you're like, oh, there's lots of other people who are doing this as well.
Yes, you get humbled a little bit, and you also learn from people who are better than you. Yeah.
Who did you learn from?
I had teachers in Chicago, a guy named Del Close, a guy named Noah Gregoropoulos, one of the greats, still around. So I studied with them, and I also watched shows everywhere from Second City. I did shows at The Annoyance, studied with a guy, Mick Napier, who's still around. He's a great teacher. And just kind of, I think the one thing you can do is like watch people. Just simply watching people who are better than you, you sort of pick things up, whether it's television or live theater.
What do you attribute to the fact that comedy has become incredibly large now?
I don't know. It's true, though. It is like a very huge... When I started doing improv in Chicago, say early 90s, late 80s, it felt like an outsider art form. It felt like there was 100 of us possibly doing this thing called the Herald, and it was very insular, but it was also filled with like weird, odd people that couldn't find success, and I don't think anybody had really gotten plucked out to get on SNL or necessarily. But now it's a boom, like people start in college and high school, and I think the simple answer is I think it's very, it travels light. Like you can get it anywhere. You don't need props to do improv. You don't need a stage to do improv. You could get a book and learn improv. Like I think it's a very light, transferable art form. You don't need paintbrushes or anything. You can just do it. So I think that's probably one reason.
Speaking of non-light transferable art forms, you have directed a couple movies.
I have.
How are you in the process of putting together another one after your last?
I am. It's probably like a year or so away. My wife and I are writing something, and we'll probably film it in a couple summers, is my guess. But yeah, I do like
Your last one was completely improvised,
yes,
right?
the first two were completely
And
improvised.
this one will be written?
I think so. We'll see.
Don't leave it up to chance anymore? You're ready?
Well, if you can write a script, it's probably better. But I do love the moment of like obviously like movies like Spinal Tap are like perfect sort of improv movies, or the Christopher Guest things, where you let these wonderful improviser actors do the dialogue for you. Like that's the goal. But it is more work, and it's editing. It makes it more like a documentary where you have to sift through more footage. So, but I do love making improv films, and I'll probably make another one.
So what is this film that you and your wife are writing? Can you talk about
I
it?
think it's sort of based on our family. Like her dad is sort of a Vietnam vet hippie, and my father was a very conservative Orthodox Catholic.
You put the two of them together?
Well, they did meet, obviously, because we got married. So it's sort of based in their meeting, and we'll see what it is. It's not totally written, so that's that much I can tell you.
What's it like collaborating with your wife?
It's good, but it's also sometimes emotion. Like when you're a director on set and you tell an actor, that was great, could you just not touch that and try to stay over here? And then if it's your wife and you say, honey, could you not touch that and stay over there? She's like, honey, what are you talking about? Like you're never above your wife. Even if you're the director, she says, I don't know, what do you mean? Why would I do that? Not to be rebellious, it's just like you're always friends, you're always equals. There's never status inside that relationship.
And you're never going to go, look, because I'm the fucking director.
Yeah. Or I can't say, honey, I do know comedy. It's like, we're always equals.
You turn to a producer, like, could you tell my wife to go do this instead?
Yeah, but she is super smart and super funny, so I want that. Like, I do want the challenge of that as well. So it's good.
Had you guys collaborated prior to writing the script together?
Yeah, we've made like fun videos. We did a pretty funny NPR parody with her sketch group where they were called the NPR Dancers, and they would act out the theme to American Life or the theme to Kai Ryssdal's show, whatever. I can't think of them. Anyway, so we have done funny things together and projects.
Cool. Let's get some questions from the audience. You're holding a microphone, so I'm assuming that means you have a question.
Hi, you've been in some of my favorite movies, and I want to know, is there any actors that you haven't worked with that you would like to?
Like if they're watching now?
Jack Nicholson is watching.
Who watches
right
this
now.
show?
Nicholson.
Jack? I'd love
Daniel
to.
Day watches.
Daniel Day-Lewis, overseas probably. He's probably in Paris or Ireland. Daniel Day, if he's watching.
Clooney, I think, watches as well.
Clooney, I'd love to. I'd love to watch, work with you, and then we could watch it together.
Malkovich is a huge fan.
Oh,
of mine,
Malkovich,
so
great. Oh, God,
Malkovich.
you have a great audience. John, I'd love to do something dramatic with you. No, I've been fortunate, but of course, any of those great people. Meryl Streep, if you're watching, yes, I would love to work with you.
She's also a big fan of the show, so
That's
she's
crazy.
Watching, yep.
This is great. So I think the obvious choices, but I've also worked with everyone I've sort of aspired to work with, so I've been lucky that way too.
Who were you most, not necessarily intimidated by, but you didn't want to fanboy out when you worked with them. You just couldn't believe that you were getting the chance to. Julia is a pretty big.
Julia was, because I met her in the audition room, and that was very like, okay, I'm sitting down with comedy great Julia-Dreyfus, and I'm auditioning for a show that she will star in. That was nerve-wracking. Hugh Laurie came on our show, like, season 4 and 5, and that was a little intimidating, because he's so funny. Like, I knew Wooster and Jeeves and all this stuff, and I was a big fan of House. So that was one where you kind of just try to not reveal that you're a huge fan and you're intimidated a little bit. But it always happens. I'm going to get to do a scene in a movie with Viola Davis, and I'm sure when I get on set, I'll be like, hello, Miss Davis, how are you? Very nice to meet you, and probably not look at her like she's such a force and a wonderful powerhouse.
I've never done a scene with her, but she was here for an interview, and she's lovely. Yeah. She's lovely.
I'm sure she's lovely, and ultimately, there are occasions when people have met me because I'm from UCB, they give me this status, and all you want is just like, that stuff doesn't matter. Let's just make a good scene, or let's just have a good time together. So I'm sure she doesn't want people kissing her boots.
Oh, Matt!
I'll love to work with you, Viola.
Next question.
Hi. I was wondering if you relate to your character anyway on Veep.
If I was linked?
If you relate.
Oh, relate. Thank you. Like LinkedIn. I'm like, no, I don't follow Mike on LinkedIn. I relate to Mike in that I'm a father of 3, oddly enough. How else do I relate to Mike? I guess I'm a little messy like Mike. My wife would probably tell you I usually have a stain of coffee on my pants or something that I don't realize I have. Those would be the first two things, but I'm not hopefully nearly as sad or willing to stay in a bad job as long as Mike. And but those would be the first couple things. And I think Mike being loyal to Selina, I guess I have a loyalty strain, but not as severe as Mike's. Those would be my first answers.
Who are you loyal? Where's your loyalty?
I think old friends. Sometimes I'll bring some of my old buddies around, and some of them, I don't know, you might not want to be around anymore, but I still like them because we're friends and I have fond memories of us.
There's history.
There's history. Yeah. Yes, that's an example of my loyalty.
I think we have time for one more question.
Hey.
Boom.
So I remember being obsessed with the Upright Citizens Brigade TV series, and I wonder, what was it like translating your work from the improv stage to the screen in those early days?
It was a great gift because we could film our improv shows when we were here in New York, and then from those raw improv shows, there would always be one or two great comic ideas, and so we used that to fuel sketches. So we'd watch the tapes and say, that's a good concept, and somebody would say, I'll go write that. And it was also great to have a theater because we could workshop sketches, because comedy tells you what's funny, audiences immediately tell you what's working and what's not. So the sort of working things out on stage was a real benefit to us. So it was super valuable to have a theater and to also have improv experience and improv shows to generate material for that sketch show.
You did 2 seasons of Upright
We got
Citizens?
3.
You got 3 seasons
Yeah.
of Upright Citizens Brigade.
Yeah.
Have you ever gone back and watched it?
No.
Would you watch it? You were so young when you were doing it, right?
Yeah, I've not. I mean, occasionally somebody will send me a link to whatever, Ask Pennies or Little Donnie or some video store scene that I say the titular line in. There's certain ones that pop up like a meme sort of in my Twitter feed, but I don't watch them. I can't. I don't know why. I guess it probably makes me feel too old.
Do you ever watch yourself? Are you okay with watching yourself?
I'll watch myself with Veep. I'll watch the episode when it airs, but I'll probably not go back to it. I'm not a huge fan. A lot of actors, I think, are like that. I'm not a huge fan.
Imagine watching
I'm not a huge fan of watching myself. I do like it when it turns out great or the whole show's great, but it's a tricky thing.
You can sort of tell the actors who like watching themselves.
Who do you think likes watching? Well,
Burt Reynolds or Tom Selleck, maybe, the Magnum PI types. Maybe Bruce Willis at one point in his heyday,
Do you think Donald Trump likes watching himself on television?
Oh, my God.
100%, right? Yeah, I agree. Hey, come in here. Look at that. I'm on TV. It's my Trump.
We know he likes watching it. If you watch CNN or MSNBC, sometimes it seelike they're talking in a way solely for him to understand.
Because he just might be watching. I know.
And they even say sometimes, they're like, the president's probably watching right now, so fuck you? I don't know.
Grow up. Take the job seriously.
Don't kill us. Keep the nuclear football away from him, please.
Yeah.
I don't think he has his hands near the nuclear football. To me,
I hope that's true, because that is a very scary road to think about.
I think it's a fake. They were like, "Here it is. This is."
Thank God. Great. I'm glad there's adults around him. I really am. Thank God. It's a shame that he unfortunately got that job, but thank God there's adults around him. Yeah.
Matt, it's so good to see you. Thanks for being here, sir.
See, you're looking at it too.
I'm looking for the date, but it's Sunday nights at
Sunday nights, 10:30 Eastern.
And the Del Close Marathon is June 24th.
June 24th, June 25th. Yeah, that weekend.
Great. Matt Walsh, everybody. Matt,
thank
you
so
much.
Guys. Thank you so much.